Lake Como and come back down a sort of figure of 8 shape. Corner 522 metres above sea level. That's the last one they climb after the Brianza. And the first climb way back on the left hand side there was the biggest of them all at 1,100 metres. I think a few sharp words are being said now to Mr. Gotti that stirring up this little breakaway group at the front in third spot. A fair way back then from Rosao and Fondrest, but nevertheless could do with a few points I think to in fine form. This is quite surprising. Let's see what's happening behind. Oh, they flick back to see what the gap is like. This is a very, very determined effort indeed by Britain's Robert Miller. Of course, he's a Scotsman, so we call him a British rider to get some benefit from this fellow. And as I said to you, if you listened to the programme earlier on, he did a fine ride in the Tour de Piedmont when he finished in 4th place. And here he is now trying to get across to that group. Just to the back end of the season, Robert's coming into such fine form. We saw him on the Leeds Classic. So there's confirmation then. We've got 4 Italians, 1 from Switzerland, and shortly we're going to find, I hope, Zeke crossing his fingers, that Great Britain will be represented in the form of Robert Miller. But if one of these riders in the Aristetea colours gets the victory today, that will be a fine lid on the success of that team. What I call a serious lead. Argentan rode with him for a short while. Argentan was their sort of man for the classics in the north, and there was a raid there. The Italians, they often prefer to stay on their home ground, but he was the first, I think, of their team who started raiding up in the north, and then Aristetea realised that they could, in fact, have a go because they were a team full of riders of fairly equal ability, and one can look back and remember when they had 3 successes in 3 days in 1991 in the Tour. It looks like Chiappucci putting some pressure on the front, and Chiappucci's got his team supporters out here. The tifosi they call it in Italy, absolutely mad sport, any sport, whether it's motor racing, rallying, cycling, particularly as they go past the front door, they turn out in large numbers, get very, very excited indeed. And of course, as we saw in the Milan-San Remo at the start of the season, some of them were inclined to get over exuberant and get across the finish line, and that's why they had a few problems in that crash. Chiappucci's done his best he can to split it, but it's not going to be. We're getting very close to the end of this race. The Solo only 22 kilometres from the finish, and all downhill into Monza. I hope at Miller to see if he's got any far left in his legs at the moment. That's the climb in front of him, and he'll go up that pretty quickly indeed. He's not known as being a great roller on the flat, and those who watch the Tour de France this year remember how he went away in the Pyrenees and was on the flat when the whole of the field pulled him back. Great mountain climber, but nevertheless doesn't like the flat stuff as well. And this will suit Robert. He could well get across. So he's being slightly biased, as commentators shouldn't be, but I would certainly like to see him get up there and join this one. He's obviously getting some form at the back end of the year. Rumours have it, by the way, that TVM could be interested in Kelly for next year. Sean says he'll make his decision. I had a chat with him. He said after this particular race he would make his decision about next year. And there goes the red card, which says that Miller could be coming up. They did the same thing, you may remember, when Sciandri came across the gap. And rumours are that Sean Kelly might go to TVM, or in fact to a new Belgian team that's being put together. All the rumours was to be with the pop manufacturers, the Tango people, but that again could be just wild press talk. But I'm sure that Sean, providing he feels good today. Remember, he was 4th in the Paris Tour a week ago. Now that might well in fact help him in his decision to stay for one more year. A year this year ruined by his problems when he pulled his groin, hurt himself a bit early in the season, and then was left out of the Tour de France, Sean, when certainly for my money he was strong enough to stay with them. And I would say he could have got the green jersey, but certainly he would have ridden a fine ride for Festina, who seems to have had a team that's been far too big. And look at that gap down there, probably only about 15 seconds. This is exactly the territory where Robert Miller is on home ground, one might say. The little Glasgow Sparrow flapping his wings. This is the style of a man born to climb mountains. Here's another one, but Chiappucci, much more punchy, a little bit heavier, has been dropped by this lot. Chiappucci has been out there for so long with Pascal Richard, who's starting to break. He's now finding it difficult to hang on, and the crowd are going mad. Well, with 4 Italians in the break and 1 Swiss rider, it looks as if Pascal Richard is the one that set the pace at the front, and Chiappucci's got to respond. The thing has blown apart on the Solo just when Robert Miller was trying to get up to them. Just 22 kilometres left to the finish. Well, Chiappucci is an absolute nutcase when it comes to descending. You have to be careful today. They call this race the race of the falling leaves, and you'll see them on the side of the road. The problem is that when the water comes down onto the leaves, then it becomes very, very slippy indeed, and hidden on these bends there's a lot of water and a lot of leaves. There we are, you can see them. And the 2 Alias steers it is that have put the hammer down. Pascal Richard and his teammate have really started to sort this one out. Giorgio Furlan and Pascal Richard. Well, they've kindly put the number up for you to see it. Pascal Richard, number 46. Furlan, number 47 up in front of him. Oh, this is cracking stuff. I missed all this last year when we lost the pictures, I can tell you. You can just feel the atmosphere, can't you? Keeping our fingers crossed then for Robert Miller. Back in that chasing position. If he can just get up to Sciandri and Chiappucci, then there's a fair chance perhaps for his final 20 odd kilometres to go that they might be able to work together. But Chiappucci looked a bit stuffed far I could see. And still Furlan doing the work at the front. One-time champion of Italy. This is the respite, this is what they've been waiting for. This surge to the finish. Steer are manufacturers of ceramic tiles, and they came into the sport with a sort of lowish budget in a small way, and after 10 years, probably one of the longest sponsorships that have been around in Italy. Now they've decided to come out of the sport, but undoubtedly they've had a tremendous amount of publicity. I hope it's helped their business along, but like with many sponsors, after a while you have to go and do something else, because otherwise people just accept you as a racing team sponsor, not for your product's sake. But these 2 riders here flying the colours, familiar colours, which the team manager said was something that he used to like them, because you could see down the road from your team car, and they could pick them out very well indeed, the red and yellow shapes of on the jerseys, making it very, very distinctive indeed. So many teams have lots of white or red, white and blue, but the colours, Alistair colours, very, very noticeable indeed, and we're going to miss them next year. Just watching the state of the road on the descent, there's still a lot of water about the place. And both these 2 are fairly strong, but they don't seem to me to have the punch at the moment to really push the gap between them and the 2 chasers. I could be wrong. They could be just a little bit of sounding out to see if they can make the legs hurt. They send them out. Furlan's still on the front, Richard is behind him. And the gap could therefore be sufficient to drop the car back in. They've done that. Chiappucci will be the one that's going to come down here like a stone. So many times we do this position up with a leading rider or riders plural, concentrating on it, and then suddenly the flying figure of Chiappucci has hove past into camera shot when it's least expected. But there's some way to go yet, and these two riders on the way down, both are well versed in each other's strengths and weaknesses, riding for the same team. I think we're going to see them really putting the pressure on once they get off the bottom, because that's when they've got to start to roll, and we're going to cover that in just a couple of minutes, so don't go away, more coming up. Dropping in then behind the wheel of Giorgio, Furlan, number 45. Then just 15 seconds then back to Sciandri and Chiappucci, and let's see what the gap is back. Oh, they're taking it away. I hope they'll give us Robert Miller's information, but it's not to be. So those are our two leaders. Well, we had a Swiss winner last year in Tony Rominger, Pascal Richard from Switzerland, number 46, and number 45 there, Furlan from Italy. We have to go back to 1987 when Argentin won this race. Argentin, who had a great year this year, by the way. He's riding for the Mecca team now. He had the pink jersey in the Tour of Italy for about 10 days this year, Argentin, and was thinking of retiring. I haven't yet heard whether he's actually going to retire at the end of this year, but these two riders here, that little gap, I think it's crossable if they really work together. But we're going to go back then to Argentin's victory in 1987 for the last Italian victory. If these two get up there, the odds for Richard repeating what Tony Rominger did for Switzerland last year are going to be shortened again, more than 3-1 by the looks of it. The other Italian that was with this breakaway group has really been seen off as far as they're concerned. So Ivan Gotti, for the Gatorade team, not in contention at the moment, and Robert Miller's trying to do the breathing act all on his own. Well, if he collects Gotti, he might pump some life into the lad, because the lad have been doing nothing to help this breakaway, which is now split considerably into little pieces on that climb up the Lisolo. Italy therefore might well be putting its name back up on the honours list before Argentin. Baroncelli won in 1986, and then we've got to go right back to 1982 for Saloni, and then Moser, Francesco Moser, in 78 and 75. And Moser is in training for this hour record. He's getting special sponsorship to go for the hour record, and latest stories are that he's got a position on a machine not much different, or very following on the same lines as that used by Graham Aubrey. So after the poo-poo-pooing that were going on that neither Bourman nor Aubrey were capable of breaking the hour record, and some noise emanated out of Italy, not Moser, but other people said they'd never do it. Not only did Aubrey then knock 1,100 metres off Moser's record, but it sounds like Moser is probably now relying on some technology invented in Britain, because again Moser, looking for ways of going that bit faster, is said to be trying out a similar sort of bike to Aubrey's. And best of luck to Aubrey and Bourman, by the way. If all goes well, they're due to ride in the Lac de Madine and the special invitees next Saturday, which is going to come on Eurosport. So we're glad to see both those two lads in action on our screens. We haven't covered them since the World Championships. So here we are, through the broken pictures, a long run down in to the finish at Monza. Fortunately, much better weather conditions now than the storms that hit earlier on today. This classic race, then, this is the 87th version of it, and it dates way back on the calendar to 1905 when Gerbi won it for Italy. In fact, the Italians dominating quite a lot in the early days, and I would expect they've got some of the best success in it too. The gap is coming down 10 seconds, so it's going to put 3 out of 4 Italians in the leading group. Records in this race, by the way. Fausto Coppi, my idol from many years ago, I have to admit that. There we go, 10 seconds gap confirmed again. He won 5 times in 45, 47, 48, 49 and 54, and Binder had 4 victories as well, 1925, 26, 27 and 1930. Binder had some toe clips and straps named after him. The most famous thing you've ever, when we used to ride with toe clips and straps before we invented the clipless pedals, Binder's straps were all the rage. Well, he was about to run 4 times between 1925 and 1930. And this is Sciandri good big un alongside a good little un. Contrast in styles of riding, and when it comes down to the sprint, I know which way I put my money. So Claudio Chiappucci in the World Cup this year. A good success when he won in San Sebastian. They managed to hang on just for a few seconds right in toward the finish, and his breakaway companion Furlan. Not getting much shelter there, is he? Sciandri when he's 6'2", alongside or just behind Claudio Chiappucci, who can't be much more about 5'6", 5'7" at the most. That means 5'6" or thereabouts. Still being a big bloke, the draft goes straight over the top of the little chap in front of him. Still in some respect to him, and they can see these two in front, just 10 seconds on a straight road like this. That's enough for them to roll at it. Nice little time trial we've got here between Furlan and Pascal Richard. Richard must be feeling a bit under the weather after going around that first climb of the day though. He's been out there for so long now that I should think that perhaps his legs will be up to hurt. When he gets to finish, he'll be out there. Let's have a quick look at the particular point he went away. Yes, the Decimo was only after some 90 kilometres have been covered. This race today coming 240 kilometres in all, so he's going to be in the saddle at the front of this field for something like 150 kilometres. Pascal Richard, ever active and in good form at the moment. I was talking to Mottet, the team manager of the Red Roller team. He was saying that the way the team's gone this year, not only is he glad to have got the sponsorship and all thought it was all going to be fair, but it's been a wonderful, good bit of PR as far as the employees are concerned. And because Americans like that, employee relations they call it. And news recently though is that Motor would not have Eddie Merckx, his son Axel Merckx, riding for him. He's said to be signed to be sponsored by Telecom next year. Well, Telecom also use Eddie Merckx bikes, so there will be a connection, but Axel Merckx then not going to Motor. Looks like he's off to Telecom. This is the chasing twosome. Chiappucci on the front, Sciandri behind him, and just those 10 seconds separating them from Furlan and Richard, the two Ariel steer riders. There they are. Nice little battle this one. It really is. But unfortunately, as far as Robert Miller's concerned and Gotti further back down the road, but it's going to make it difficult for them to get across. I don't think these two want the shape of Sciandri alongside them, nor Claudio Chiappucci, because you never know what he's going to get up to. His tactics are always irrepressible. Perhaps I might put the camera down the road to see what it looks like from the front to back. Oh, it's beginning to tell, isn't it? I say for Pascal Richard to have been out there since 90 kilometres to go right the way into 243 kilometres today. He's very tired. They thought he's riding hard tired, but he talked to them, you could see that they're just looking for a break, for a holiday. They're a long old season, starting way back in February when they're riding what used to be the sort of pipe openers, and they're wondering he's easing himself up and down here. That's what I've been talking about. Pascal Richard went about 90 kilometres. We're here now at around about 225 kilometres, and it's beginning to tell. There we go, that's what I've been looking for. It's still holding it. But Furlan's doing all the work. You can see here that Richard just having a bit of a bad patch at the moment, so Furlan dropping off and sitting on his back wheel for a moment. Quite a useful career that Furlan's had. Way back in '85 when he turned pro. In '86 he had a win in the Tour of Luxembourg and on the stage there. He managed to get one of those. Tour of Lombardia in 1988, and Route de Sud last year he got himself a stage victory there and a fourth place as well. Of course, he's been the Italian champion, so he's really is the powerhouse in that front group here. Well, these two chase them down, but Richard isn't really contributing, so I give these two chaps a chance of getting across. Claudio Chiappucci, second last year in this race, Is he going to find himself in second place yet again? Sciandri. So I told you about it being second. It pops up on the old screen. Can get myself quiet and let you read the thing. Well, the Italians certainly going to be pleased with this one then to have so many in contention. Yeah, they're going to pull them back now, I think, because if we look back in the halcyon days, over like half a century, 1905, when this race was first started, and the 1950s, they managed 37 victories in all, so really they're dominant in this race. And lying at the foot of the Alps, it's a test of this time of the year. They find a few little climbs, but they run back in towards the finish, favouring the strong men. It usually has been a strongman's race or an opportunist. Rominger won it last year, he won it back in '89. Rominger went to have a long lone break to ride in. Kelly got away with Gale the year before, put him in the sprint. I certainly know one man will have his fingers crossed in that chasing two-man group with Sciandri and you can see a bit left to there to go. Over the top of the solo, down here toward the finish. Just 9 kilometres left to go, and that vital 10 seconds still separating them. Are they coming up? Well, it still looks about the same. The difficulty is, as far as Chiappucci is concerned, if he was one that got blown off on the climb even before Sciandri did, so he doesn't want to stop himself too much in taking Sciandri up to the finish, because this is a man with a fearsome sprint, Sciandri. He's coming this race in fine form. Right, what, 10 days ago he won the race, Sciandri, and of course so did Claudio Chiappucci. These riders back end of the season, one or two in fade from sight, but both Sciandri and Chiappucci have been quite successful recently. Richard's in good form, so that's why we've now got 4 cracking riders having a go at this one. The race is sponsored and organised by the della, which is a big Italian sporting newspaper, and printed on pink paper. That's why when they also promote the Giro di Lombardia, they give the leading rider a pink jersey to show he's the leader. Deceptive. You can see how the chains on the big ring at the front and on the little ring at the back, that they are rolling at quite a big rate of knots here. A little bit of question, I think, from Furlan to just see could Pascal Richard continue to help with his break. Look at the state he's in. Richard, I would say, is going through a slightly bad patch at the moment. Little turns, they can look back and see the chasers if they choose to do so, but they've really got to concentrate on this one. In fact, I'll look round then, see what's happening to the chasers, and both Chiappucci and Sciandri still sharing the work very well indeed. And that gap certainly looks to me that it's coming down to less than 10 seconds. This really is brinkmanship as far as these two are concerned. They're rolling just about the same pace, perhaps going a little bit back here and there, but probably not quite enough. They've just got to raise their game a little bit more. Sciandri then, when Chiappucci couldn't see him, just quickly massaging his thighs. Looks like he's got a bit of cramp coming on. So maybe a chance for these two out in the front still. This is cracking stuff here. Really close to the wire, this one. The gap still around about the 10 seconds. I thought it was coming down, although it would have climbed around the bends, but it doesn't look like it. Neither of these two, I think, I'm not quite sure they've got any left in the legs, but they don't seem just putting on the pressure a little bit more. get the impression both these two look rather tight. Remember that Claudio Chiappucci joined up in that leading group early on with Richard. A gap of something like 140 kilometres covered there, a 45-second lead. So Chiappucci likewise has been in the action right since just around about the halfway point in this race. Sciandri got up to him when the gap came down to around about 20 odd seconds by a fearsome piece of riding to get away from Podenzana. We haven't been back to look at the main field, by the way, but we just switched on the programme. Let me tell you that Podenzana was in a group of something like about 20 men who were behind what was a 6-man group that began to split as he came on in. Sciandri getting up to him, Miller trying to go across there. Gotti, one of the early members of the 6-man group, is now back with Miller, and the rest of the field I should think will probably sweep up Miller and Gotti once they found they couldn't get across. So we're really looking at the top 4 places at the moment. These two here heading on into Monza, those dreaded cobbles. Imagine riding your bike for like 7 hours uphill and down Dale. The next thing you know, you've got to bounce over cobbles. It's deceptive actually off motorbikes. You never get the impression just how rough they are. But I can tell you on those hard tyres they're riding on, you can feel the vibrations coming up. Richard's gone back onto the front again. Winner of the stage with Tour de France in 1989. Won a stage last year in the Criterium International Route, stayed with Tour of Switzerland, and also last year the Championship of Switzerland. So we've got 2 ex-champions here, one of Switzerland and one of Italy. 6 hours, my correction, for being in the saddle. A bit faster this time than last year because we had such foul weather. It was much better this time. That's why we came on air a bit faster than we normally do. That's Richard. Very closely matched, these two, in shape and size. That's why Richard's success last year when he won the Tour of Lombardia into the stage. That one also shows his ability at distance racing, but he really don't to go too well on the really long tours, like Tour de France. Prefers the shorter ones like the Tour of Switzerland and the Tour of Lombardia. Let's have a look at these two. They're leaving it very, very late, but I've got a suspicion they haven't got much left in the leg. So we're looking at tired couple in front, tired couple behind. Of course, these two, as they are we're getting the word now from the boss, and the last time he's going to be here encouraging his riders to go on to success. So if he gets this one, then I think it's going to be tremendous that having looked after this team for so long, that in fact he's going to go out with a victory. So Ferretti, there 21 seconds, it's grown now, 21 seconds, so Giancarlo Ferretti will be urging these two to go a little bit faster. Their team manager, who's really nurtured this team and brought it on in recent years. It said he started fairly slowly back in 1984, and subsequently they've gone better and better and better. Probably start their good season way back in 1990 when Argentin joined them. I don't think any team orders as far as these two are concerned, with the team finishing at the end of the year. It'll be a nice team tactics for these two riders to get themselves this far, but it'll be down to who's got the best sprint. And the big playing group back there, you can see them turning away back at 1 minute 50 seconds. There's going to be no doubt that the victory will come from these two. And Ferretti at the moment must be a very, very pleased man indeed. He said that he can always see his riders up in front of the bunch with 1 kilometre to go now because of the amazing colours, red and yellow colours they've got. But right now he's going to actually see one of his riders win the race, because there's no doubt about it, with 2 up here and that gap of something like 20 seconds back to the chaser. Certainly what Ferretti was doing, by the way, he'll be making sure that these two don't get caught by urging to go on him. He'll be looking at his wing mirrors now and probably got his mechanic peering to the back window just to see where the 2 chasers have gone. But the mere fact of allowed Ferretti to come up like this and the commissaire to be in there as well says that the other 2 now are too far behind, so it's down to a sprint between Furlan and Pascal Richard. Furlan on the front at the moment, looking back at Richard. dangerous. They're both looking back. I know what they're looking for, but should have given Richard a chance to take off. But they've done a great ride, these two. And now they've having decided that they've got it all to themselves. What are they do now? They certainly can't go across that gap, surely. They only have 500 metres to go, and Sciandri and Chiappucci coming up very quickly indeed. The two cars that have been with them have now gone forward. I wouldn't have thought that they were going to let him come back close, so they're going to be battling, I think, for third and fourth place. And up in front, the Swiss versus the Italian. Will Furlan get it for Italy? And again, furious waving for everybody. Bring the cars out of the way. Come on, get out, they're saying, for those two coming up through the motorcycles. The telephoto lens has foreshortened it, by the way. It's probably only around about 10 seconds now. Well, they're 20 and they start to unleash the sprint then. Richard on the left-hand side, Fur on the right, going for it. Looks like Richard has made an amazing recovery. Is he going to get it? No! Sprint then for third and fourth, Sciandri from Chiappucci, and back here Skibby moved up to the front here at TVM. They've managed to get rid of Miller, so he's in no contention at all now with this little lot. Well, lots of riders sliding all over the place. We're picking up back to our camera miscellaneous bunches of riders here coming in towards the finish. But still, for TVM at the moment, as Miller has been hauled back in again. Let's see if Skibby's going to get this one. He's unleashing one of his favourite sprints that got him a stage in the Tour of Italy this year, but I don't think he's got it. He isn't going to get it, he's dying. It's going to go to Histor on the left. In fact, I think that was Charly Mottet. This bunch has been decimated. There's a white jersey on the front of Mottet, leader in the World Cup. He's going to get enough points here. He's so far in the lead anyway. That's really reinforced his victory in the World Cup this year. Gives himself another few points in the race. Coming alight early on when Pascal Richard took the first climb, went up there, split the field, and was joined by the riders, and Furlan getting up to made really a 1-2 for Jesper, and I'm certain that the boss of Jesper will look to have this picture hanging on his wall to say, well, that's the end of my sponsorship of cycle racing, and we've gone out in fine style, a victory in the Tour of Lombardy, a great classic. This is the 87th version of the Tour of Lombardy. The slow motion from the top of the sprint. They certainly worked well together after the solo climb when they got away some 22 kilometres from the end. And Pascal Richard had been absolutely dying at one point, and Furlan, I think, could have gone away and left him, but they managed to contain their strengths and keep together because they knew those two chasers would be coming up at them, and they had to really keep on the pressure to stay away, otherwise it would be curtains. The internal interviews. Imagine you've ridden your bike for 6 or 7 or 7.5 hours, and you've got to this last week across Europe, storms and flash floods and thunder and lightning and everything else. In fact, talking to one of my colleagues who's been out to a presentation of the ski program for the year, he's telling me something up in the Alps, and they've already had 2 metres of snow. In fact, it snowed so much on the ski resort they had got too much snow to skiing, but the weather suddenly turned rather nasty. But here the sun is shining for Pascal Richard to take the victor's laurels in this 87th Giro di Lombardia, and Giorgio Furlan a disappointing second. But Delizia Fondest bringing some warmth to the hearts of the Italians. The Italian might not have won it today, but still that white jersey goes yet again on the shoulders of Delizia Fondest. took the jersey of Andres for the third place in the Liège-Bastogne-Liège way back in April this year, and he's kept the jersey ever since through the rest of the classics, the Amstel Gold, San Sebastian, the Liège Classic, Challenge of Zurich, where he won that one. Second place in the Paris Tour last week, given a hatful of points and yet another trophy to stick on the mantel shelf, which I'm sure he built of RSJ's strongly security to give that lot up. There we are then. World Cup leader, Victor, and only the time trial to finish the season off, but he can walk around that one and still keep that jersey. They're getting right excited. Looks like we lost Pascal Richard for another set of photographs. Sure as that wants to rest after being out there. They're about 90 kilometres went away. It's 243 kilometres in all, so like 150 kilometres, and they might get another picture. Come on, that's it. Minister of Fondus, his flowers are suddenly beginning to look a bit the worse for wear, but okay. There's another group of riders coming in. Thankful that that's the end of the year. Oh, and the smiling figure there for Jacob Larson. That's 37 years of age. Rounding off his season in fine style, and let's give our fingers crossed to hear what Kelly's verdict was of the race and his form and the future. This is the time then when several riders will be hoping to impress the sponsors with their performances. There's a lot of exciting whistles of the police and the officials trying to clear people out of the way. Came into this particular race, Sciandri was in third spot ahead from Chiappucci. Is the confirmation of the performances. That was Mottet that beat Skibby. Peter Lies didn't see me there, and I'm just looking down at the scores as regards the World Cup. Sciandri will have got himself those 24 points there.